Hello, everyone. I know it's Saturday, but the data and analytics is not going to stop over the weekend. It's going to keep continue because we have so many challenges that we need to address in the modern days. So in today's video, what I'm going to discuss, I'm going to show you how you can deliver the data and analytic works in the best possible manner. There was coming from the experience, like I mentioned, I'm working in this field from last 10 years and delivering a lot of data and analytic related work. So based on my experience, what I have actually found a really great approach to deliver not only the data and analytics operational requirement as well as the project. So in this series, we're going to discuss some of the approaches that I have found very useful while I was delivering the data warehouses and integrations and reporting and dashboarding and machine learning, all sort of that work that really fits into one paradigm. I'm not going to actually name it this. Once we discuss, we'll just see over there. And then the other one, which obviously keep the business running, because obviously once you are developing new products, you make sure that the business is not impacting by your unavailability or your lack of support. So we make sure that there is a balance equation between the work which we are producing as part of new solution or as part of the improvement, as well as the support we are providing to day-to-day operation, which we call it business as usual or BAU. So today we're going to discuss the best approach that we can use to deliver BAU or a regular request that comes on our way while we are working in the business environment. By the way, in these days, we are all aware that the best approach which we are using for the software development is called the agile-based methodology, and organizations are rapidly adopting that approach because there are a lot of gains in using that approach. And one of the best which I have seen, which I believe is the biggest risk to any failure of any project, is the lack of collaboration. So if you have lack of communication while you're delivering the project or delivering any solution, that's going to create a lot of risk on the delivery of the solution. Or I have literally seen many well architect and well documented solution, they got failed because there was no proper collaboration or communication between the different streams who are working on the solution. So keep in mind, for the success of the project, the collaboration and communication is very effective. And the way I have seen Agile is providing a lot of principles that will help us to communicate a lot while we are working in the in the project environment. Regardless, it's going to be daily stand-ups, or it's going to be sprint planning sessions, or it's going to be project reports or project updates. So all these things, if you can see them, they are sitting under the umbrella of the collaboration and communication. Now, there's an other step which is ahead of Agile, because Agile still is quite, I would say, disciplined approach, where we need to go through a proper sprint planning, where the business need to attend those sessions and provide their requirement, and then we prioritize those requirements and then take the work which is aligned with the capacity based on the resources which we have available. However, in data and analytics, the approach sometimes doesn't work, and it's completely the nature of the field. Like sometimes we really need to deliver something which is required by any exec, or or even the CEO of the company, and he's waiting for some numbers or some report that he needs to use to make the decision. So we cannot ask them or ask him to wait for 2 weeks so we include the request. So you can see the challenge. So now, to address these sort of requirements or these sort of discipline, which I believe is common everywhere, so we have another approach called Kanban. So in this video, we're going to discuss how the Kanban framework works for us purely in the data and analytics. And trust me, once you implement that framework in your work environment, you will see the benefit by yourself. By saying it, let me just move on and let me share with you guys the framework diagram so we can discuss it in detail. Okay, it looks like what I'm gonna do in here. All right, I think that's better picture than the one which we have seen. My couple of whiteboards overlap to each other, but anyway, I just picked them. All right, now let's come back to the diagram that you are seeing on the screen. Let me first explain. So the first area, the section which is showing BAU and normal requests, that's our backlog. Normally we called it backlog. So in the backlog means that we have all the requests which is coming from the business. We will keep them in the backlog. So that is more like a queue of the requests or tickets, which is given by different business areas to the data and analytics team, so they can work on them and provide the solution accordingly. Now, normally in the agile way, like I described before, we have the opportunity, we can call the business owners and we can have a collaborative session where they can provide their request, and based on the resources which we have in our team, we can split the tickets, and we identify how much time it's going to take to cover those requests, and then we put it back to the business owner so they can pick by priority. And then whatever priority they're going to give us, we're going to actually take the top priority based on the time frame of the sprint that we can adjust, and then we work on them, and then the next sprint we take the remaining priority or just discuss with them. So anyway, that's the agile way. We will discuss in a separate video. But in Kanban, like I mentioned, sometimes it's not possible to wait for such a long, and especially even sometimes requests come in our way in a very agile way, like it impact on the 2 week sprint planning or sprint framework. So what we have now, we have a Kanban, which is even more agile compared to agile, which provide us that, okay, we have 3 stages. We take the tickets which can fit into our, for example, into our work queue, or for example, of 1 week, and we put them into the staging, which is one is doing. So we pick the backlog, and again, keep in mind, in the backlog, we're going to pick by the priority. So whatever comes into the doing, that is going to be the priority. So the top priority will picked up first. And for example, it can be a report, or it can be a data set request. So you can see we're going to pick up based on the priority, and then we start working on it. And then once it's done, this will move into the done section, data set move into the done section, and then we have the next request. So that's how it works, right? We pick up and we finish, and then we pick up the other one, which are in the queue. And obviously, once it's done, we put it either in release, which is obviously releasing in production, or we review based on the solution that, okay, what we have done. And, sometimes we need to see whether the scripts which are built are efficient, or, sometimes once we put it into the production, it got failed for some reason. So we have a review session where we identify, okay, what are the causes that impact on our solution and got them failed in the production environment, so we can improve it for the future releases. So there's a typical, you can say the solution delivery framework, right? I won't call it software delivery because software is very different than the data and analytics development. Both are dealing with development, but both are completely different way. Keep this thing in mind that data and analytics, it comprises some time on the software development principles, especially once we build the integration and data pipelines and solutions which are custom based solution. That's where we follow the agile principle. But once we come in purely data and analytics, that's where the world is completely different. Although it's called development, but it's a very different kind of development environment that we are dealing. Now, coming back to our challenge, what our challenge is that, for example, we are working, everything is working sweet. So I have, for example, 5 team members. And we have allocated to them. So for example, we are running 2 weeks Kanban. So our work sprint, and I will call it a sprint. Our work schedule is based on 2 weeks. Like after every 2 weeks, we do the planning again. So we have, for example, out of 2 weeks, we have each resource, for example, 37 and 37. Normally we have 37-hour week. So let me give it, for example, 70 hours per person, one team member. And then we have 5. So we 5, 7, 3. So we have 350 hours. Right now, I have divided the work. So based on 350 hours of the work has been divided between the team for 2 weeks. Now, the beauty of Kanban, how it actually deals. Although we know that we only picked up the priority ones in the Kanban, but it has a priority line. And normally in bridges you have regular lines, and then you have priority lines where sometimes the ambulance or those vehicles which are going for dealing for any disaster, they won't wait for the traffic. They have a special line, and once they come in, they just pass through that line, right? And even if those lines are not there, if you see any ambulance, you have seen that normally cars are diverting towards the corner so the ambulance can pass through, because they always have the priority, and we should all respect for them. The same way the principle apply in here. So while we are working in our Kanban way, if any request which is really critical and that is coming from either the CEO or the directors or executive level, and they are blocking on something, we cannot ask them to wait for 2 weeks. It's simply not gonna work, right? So that's why you're gonna see there's a green area which overlap with our regular work pattern, and then we have a critical and ad hoc request which always come with a lot of priority that we cannot ask them to hold these requests. So we always take them as soon as they land on our queue. So the concept is, as soon as we have these critical requirement, we're going to start working. So what we'll do, we'll just drop one or two of the requests which we think are going to be comparatively low priority, and then we switch our gears towards this. Now that is becoming, and let me just change now the color. Now that is becoming our priority. Now keep in mind, it has disturbed our discipline of the sprint, but I'll come back towards that point. We are working on that. We just action on the ticket or the request, and then we deliver it. So as soon as it has been delivered, keep in mind it is not linked with our main data platform, because it's the ad hoc request, and we build it literally on the fly to just address the requirement. Now that point is very critical, where most of these the organization are struggling, because things go rough on this point, excuse me. Things move away from the track from this point, because once we deliver, we switch back to our regular work, which is obviously above the line in our regular stream, right? Because obviously everyone like to follow a disciplined approach, right? So although we know that we got interrupted, there's something comes in our way, we address them, we deliver them. Now coming back to our normal work pattern, one thing I would always test out, and I will strongly recommend, our journey of addressing this request didn't finish in here. So that's why you have seen the arrow is still incomplete. It didn't reach to the release, because although we have delivered the request, there's still one critical step which is remaining, and that is the one which I have mentioned in this part. We need to review that solution and we need to integrate it with our main data and analytics platform. Although I know it's going to take some time, but the gain is long term. So for example, imagine in the future, we have a similar request that comes through. We already have a solution, but if we want to integrate it now with our data platform, you can imagine we might have to redo the same effort again in future as well. And it happened many times in the industry that we did something, we forgot to integrate with our main platform, and then after 2-3 months, when the same request landed, we have to allocate again a resource who can actually work on and deliver the requirement. So you can see it slowly start impacting on the capacity or on the efficiency of our teams while they are working. So keep in mind, this part is extremely important. Once you finish any ad hoc request, you always put a buffer so you can integrate it back into our data asset. If you are not going to integrate, it will create another disadvantage. If this is going to be isolated solution, it's going to be ad hoc, it create a silo. And how many of us are dealing with the trouble of having so many data silos within the organization where nobody has any idea who provided the requirements, who worked on it, or who action on it, and what was the outcome, whether it's the acceptable solution or not acceptable solution. So, but because it's just sitting there as part of the data asset, so we have to keep it there, and nobody is willing to even touch the data silo because they don't have the knowledge. And you can see in these days how quickly the business requirements are changing. So obviously, after some time, these silos are more like becomes the liability or technical debt, which is not easy to clear out. Trust me, the most difficult thing is to clean the technical debt, because it requires a lot of analysis, a lot of discovery, a lot of work to migrate if it needs to be migrated, or retired if it has to be retired from the data platform. Because it's not only the technical people who can do it, it's the collaborative effort. And you can imagine business have their own priorities and they need to go and fulfill those priorities. And if you ask them, oh, we have a lot of technical debt that we need to clean, it's hard to buy in their time. So I believe you can understand why we should have less technical debt in our platform, because that will really help us to focus on the improvements in the longer run during our data strategy. So that's the Kanban framework that will really help you to address both worlds. I do believe that would definitely help you out while you are working in your projects or BAU environment. If you have any question or anything you would like to discuss, please feel free to put it in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer. Or if you are looking for the agile way of doing the similar data and analytics work, wait for my other video which I'm going to record on the agile pattern. So I think we are pretty good in here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.